Hello, welcome to No Face Meals. I'm your host, Marjorie Haynes. Today we're going to show you how to make a washed seitan. It's another form of seitan. Takes a little bit of time, but you get a much bigger yield, and there are a multitude of ways to flavor this seitan. So first of all, we're going to start out with flour. You need 4 cups of flour. Now, I measure out in half cups. That's why there's 8. Sometimes it's just easier to measure it out that way. Now, as far as what kind of flour you need, the recipe did say bread flour, but I've been using just regular plain old flour. It works just as well. So nothing fancy. So you need about 1.5 cups of water. Now I will highly suggest take off if you're going to do this by hand like I do, take off all your rings, because you're going to get messy. You can do this in a stand mixer. It's the same thing. If you have one, use it. If you don't, use your hands. I don't have one. So you just pour, and I'm going to reserve some of this because sometimes, just like with any other, like baking, sometimes you need more liquid, sometimes you need less. So, and you could probably use gloves on this. To me, it doesn't make a difference. I'm a baker, so I'm constantly got my hands in something, some kind of flour. But the nice thing about this seitan is that it freezes wonderfully. So you could make a lot of this up ahead of time, and then you've always got your meat substitute. And that's what a seitan is. It is a meat substitute, and this one is so nice because you can make any kind of flavor you want, use any kind of herbs you want. You're not set in with just what the recipe calls for. So I have tried. Now this one's going to be Italian beef. We like it quite a bit, but I have made chicken, I have made fish, I have made corned beef for St. Patty's Day. We like it. Made just plain beef. So lots of different ways of making flavoring this seitan. And like I said, it's a little bit, well, it's not so much work as it is you have wait times. So if you're at home cleaning house, or maybe you're working from home, this is fine. You can actually make this and while you're working with something else. The beauty of this recipe is that the main ingredients are simple, so you really and truly don't need anything fancy, and it's so much better financially for you to make this, as opposed to going out and buying the ready-made. Not that we don't do the ready-made, because we do once in a while, but what I like about this is that you get to put in what you want, so you can control things like sodium levels. You can control how much protein is in this. I think I'm going to need a little more water in that. Just a tiny bit. See, sometimes you need more, sometimes you need less. It just depends. I think that's what a lot of people don't get about a recipe is, well, it didn't turn out right. It didn't turn out like it should. Well, sometimes you need a little more water. Sometimes you need less. It all kind of depends on the temperature, too. So what you're doing, you want this to come together as a dough. And I still got dry parts in there. This should yield, I think, just about 2 pounds of meat substitute. And the beauty is that it freezes beautifully. You throw a chunk of this in your freezer, and say you're running, you got a busy day the next day. You pull it out, thaw it out overnight, and you got meat. That's great. You can make it anything you want, and you can use it in anything. That's another great point, is that you can serve this alone as a steak. You could serve it as sliced for sandwiches. You could slice it up and put it in any kind of pasta or rice dish. Stir fry is a good option. So it's just a really good all-around substitute for meat. And we still are too dry.
Chunks.
Yeah, you can chunk it up. You can, in the chicken, you could actually cut it in chunks and then batter it up, and you've got nuggets. Throw it in that air fryer, and you've got nuggets. So, I mean, a multitude of ways. Easy once you get it made. It's like not a problem. Now it probably got too wet. Maybe not. You're looking for it to be a nice springy dough ball is what you're looking for. You want it to be all the way together. Not too dry, not too wet. Which is kind of funny because you are going to put this in water, which is hilarious because you're going to wash it. And what you're doing is you're removing the starch out of your seitan is the thing. Now, if you're sensitive to gluten, this is not a dish for you. And you just kind of work it. And there's something therapeutic about working a dough. And like I said, I'm a baker, so lots and lots of experience. And I think I got it too wet. And this is why I do half cups, because this way you're not having a lot of flour at the same time. You can kind of, it's almost there. Almost to the point I want it. And like I said, what you see here, now that's going to be your meat. That's like a 2-pound dough ball. And satisfying. And I'll come to the part. It's just satisfying sometimes. It's not a ground meat. It's not, you can eat it by itself. Make wonderful tacos or wraps or anything else. Okay, now that's what we're looking for. Okay, it's not sticky, it's not too dry, and it's stuck together. It's all nice and stuck together. Like I said, you can do this with a stand mixer. I don't happen to have one, so I get sticky fingers. Now that we've got this beautiful ball of dough, we're gonna submerge it in water. Now this should be, a cold water. And the trick is you want to submerge it, so you might have to pat it down just a little bit to get it underneath there. And there we go. It looks good. Okay, now we're gonna cover this and let it set for an hour. And after an hour, I'll come back and I'll show you the next step. So our seitan has sat for an hour. So now we're going to wash it, which means you're going to have to get those hands in there. And you're going to have to wash it till it looks milky. Okay, and as you can see, it's changed a whole lot since it sat in the water. Okay, usually I wash twice. The recipe did say you may have to wash 3 times. I don't find that to be so. Never washed it more than twice. All right, see now how milky that is? That's what we're talking about when it says milky, okay? So that's wash number 1. And you want to drain as much water off as you can. You're always going to have a little bit left. I have actually put this through, you know, a sieve and gotten a lot more water out, but since I'm going to add protein, about a wheat gluten to this at the end before we fry it off, really not a big deal.
Tell them what that is.
It's water?
Wheat gluten.
Wheat gluten. What is wheat gluten? It is the protein that is in wheat. They've taken all the other parts out, you know, and left just the gluten part. Which, in a way, this is what this is doing. But you're taking the starch out. Now you want it to start separating. See, the more it separates, the more chewy meat-like it will be. So this is cool. This is what you want. You want it to start to separate now. You don't want it in one big ball now. You want it to separate it out. This is something for the kids to do. You know, they get to make a mess in the kitchen. Now you see that it's milky again, so we're done. I washed it twice, and you're getting clumps of, which is what you want. Believe it or not, it'll all come together, and it'll be beautiful. This is going to be our Italian beef. We like it quite a bit. I've got another one started that where it's going to be, I'm going to make it into patties, which is something new for me. But I got some really interesting seasonings that you can get at any of your bigger box stores. So I have to play, I have to see. Dump that off. Drain as much as you can of it out. Probably should have removed the Apple Watch, but that's okay. So you're left kind of with this. And this is what you're looking for. The stringy stuff. That means you washed most of the starch out. Flavorings. Hand me a towel there. Thank you much. How much? How little? Whatever. You know, a lot of this you have to play to your taste. I'm not adding sodium to this. You can if you want. We're sodium restricted, so I don't add it to here because I am going to be adding some Bragg's to the simmering sauce. I am going to add in a vegetarian broth powder, which does have some sodium in it. I mean, people say, how much? Well, how much do you want? Usually I do a scooper like this. I usually do 1 scoop in this initial, because this also goes in my simmering sauce. Alright? This is what gives it a beefy taste. I like garlic in my Italian beef. So, how much? Oh, tablespoon and a half, maybe 2 teaspoons. And then, gotta have, so now you can use Italian seasoning if you want. We're not a big fan of oregano. We like just sweet basil in it. How much? Again, it's to your taste. I'm going to say put a good tablespoon in there. You can't have too much basil. Just can't. Now, you're going to mix this up. All this good stuff up, because you want that flavor to get all the way through. And it'll bring out, because there's sodium in the broth powder, it'll bring out some of that moisture. But like I said, we'll take care of that. It's not going to be a problem. All right. You just want to make sure that it's all mixed up. And you've got this nice stringy stuff. That's what you're looking for, because that's what's going to build up where it's more meat-like. You know, some of the seitans are soft. You know, they're in roast. This is definitely a chewer one. You know, it's one that has a nice chew to it. Now, flying things everywhere. This is what it looks like. And that's cool. Now you're going to let this sit for an hour. Or more. Now, see, this is where the beauty part comes in. Say, okay, you wanted to do this in the morning, come back at night and fry and simmer it. You could do that because it has to sit at least an hour. It can sit even longer. You can put it in the refrigerator and let it sit and marinate. The longer you have it sit, the more the flavor's going to come through your meat. Now I have a second one that we're going to do the same too. Again, you could utilize those young kids that you have that would like to make a, you know, mess in your kitchen. This would be something for them to do. It really is. It's a simple recipe. It does take a little more time, but like I said, I make 2 batches of it a week because that's about what we eat. We do have some that we're finishing up in the freezer, that we put in the freezer. One of these days I'll be ahead of it. And we dump that off because it's just nasty. Another thing, don't put this down your sinks, people. Dump this in your toilet. Toilet's got a much bigger drain than your sinks do. You don't want to stop it up because it's flour and it's water. So, you know, basically glue. If you remember right, when you were a kid, your mom used to make glue out of flour and water. Make paste out of it. You just wash it until, well, I mean wash, I mean you stick your hand in there and you make it go through your fingers until you get this milky consistency and you start to get these strings. That's what you're looking for. Those strings. That's what's going to give it the texture of a meat product. Because I know a lot of your meat products are ground, or they're a solid mass like a roast. You don't get this kind of texture. And to tell you the truth, I really didn't know what was the big deal with this recipe. I've had people tell me, oh, this is the best, and this, that, and the other. I'm thinking, well, how much better can it be? You know, seitan is seitan, right? Yeah, no, I had to eat my words on that one. I like this one much better than traditional seitan. And like I said, it's a little more work, but it's something that you can do when you're at home anyway. You know, it's not, you don't have to babysit it. You know that it's going to be an hour, to sit. And that's going to happen too. You may lose a strand of it. And that's okay. Because honestly, it's flour and it's water right now. So if you lose a little bit of it, it's okay. It's all right. You can even go in there and fish it back out if you want. Well, it must not have been a huge piece because I don't see it no more. Okie dokes. So this one, we're going to go ahead and still like all that in there. Get yourself out of there. Like I said, a lot of times I'll use a colander and drain this a little bit more. But we're going to add vital wheat gluten to it, so it's not a big deal. Vital wheat gluten is very high in protein. You can easily get 20 grams of protein per serving when it comes to. Now this is what we're using on this one is a caramelized onion burger, which I thought was pretty awesome. That sounded good to me. Again, something we get at the local store. Does have 170 milligrams of sodium. And I don't think I'm going to add any of this because this is actually pretty beefy smelling. I am going to use the vegetable broth powder for my simmering sauce. A lot of this, this is a new one for me, and I'm going to make patties out of it. So, you know, smell it. Does it smell like you want it to? I think it needs a little more. But this has got good stuff in it. You know, it's got your toasted onion and Worcestershire. But this is a vegan Worcestershire. This is what we're using. Okay. So now we're going to mix this a little bit more. And now you can really smell the caramelized onion in there. But, I mean, there's so many different spice blends that you can use, single spices that you can use. You know, there's a lot more different than what it used to be. Used to be if you wanted to get anything fancy like rosemary, you had to go to an herb shop, you know, or your health food store. But now you can get most of this right in your big box stores. Not that you shouldn't use small business, because small business is what makes the world go round. Alrighty, we are all done, and we're going to let this set at least an hour, and then we'll be back to show you how to fry it off. We're going to get ready to fry this up. This is the next step in wash seitan. This is what it looks like now. Okay, so this is not in the recipe, but this I have found out it works very well for me. This is going to add your protein in. This is vital wheat gluten, which is the protein part of the wheat kernel. And, you know, people say, how much? Well, as much as you need. I'm going to go probably a good half, fourth to half, depending. Now, this recipe you can double or you can have it either way. In our pot here, we've got, this makes it also very, very much more manageable. Because we're going to fry this whole thing up. I might need some more. Just makes it more manageable. And it gets you that nice pop of protein. That if you're vegetarian or vegan, everybody knows that you're trying to find more protein. This is a nice clean protein. So yeah, we're probably going to say half cup. Now in here I've got some canola oil. You know, you can choose the oil of your choosing. I also sprayed it on top with cooking spray. Also canola. Why? Because it works. That's why. Alright. Now we've got it the way we want it. See? That's going to be your Italian beef roast, basically. So now you're going to take this and you're going to put it right in there. Listen to the sizzle. And you're going to cook this until you're happy with the way it looks. Paper towel, something there. How much oil do you use? Half cup so. And you do want to kind of move it around a little bit, because you don't want it to stick, which is why we sprayed it with cooking spray too. We're going to spray the top of this with cooking spray. This is phase one of actual cooking it. I'm going to do that. And it is canola spray, and you can spray canola. spray in there. It won't hurt it none. You don't want to do that with some of the other sprays. That's one thing about it. You are going to get messy. Usually I have an apron on, but you are... Well, it's beginning to smell good. We like this one an awful lot. We like them all, don't get me wrong, and I'm always experimenting, but begin to smell good. Bottle wheat gluten, where can you get it? You can get it at your local big box store. You can also order it online. As you can see, I order it by the 25 pound because I make a lot of seitan. This is what we eat during the week. We eat about 2 of these roasts. Not quite yet, sister. At least it's not sticking here. How much oil? I'd say you need at least a half a cup. This may be a little bit more in there. Because what you're going to do is you're going to fry it on both sides and then you're going to let it sit until your pan is cold. I usually say an hour. Everything's an hour here. That way it will absorb some of this oil. That's why you want a good oil. And it will make it moist. But and chewy at the same time. It helps it not dry out. Here, that's the reasoning for the oil. Plus, if you're vegetarian, you need that fatty oil. You need that. You do need fat in your diet, but make it a good one. Let's see if we can get this sucker flipped without burning myself. This is the hard part. Is flipping this sucker over. See, now look at that. That's a nice brown color. Kind of what you're looking for, because when you simmer this, we're going to simmer this for 40 minutes with a simmering sauce. It's going to darken color because I'm going to use a good dark balsamic vinegar. Recipe calls for wine, and you can do wine if you want. But I just don't usually have wine, but don't drink it. So if you do, add the wine. That'll help darken it. If you really wanted this dark, you could always add beet powder to it. Beet powder has, will give it a little bit of an earthier flavor, but not much. I mean, you can't say, oh, this is beets. It just gives it a little more earthier flavor, and it will make it look more meat-like. I have it. I just didn't bother to put it in. It's not one of the things I put in. Some things, I mean, pastrami and corned beef, you kind of want to have it in there. But other than that, I mean, it's just a visual. This tastes good anyway. And like I said, it will turn darker because you'll have more, I'm putting balsamic vinegar in. And I'm using Bragg's amino acids instead of salt, because that doesn't have sodium in it. Salt does. If you don't need, if the salt's okay with you, don't worry about it. Go ahead and put it in. And that's with all these flavorings. You put in what you like. That's what this makes it so nice, so versatile. Is you can put any kind of flavor. I'm gonna try to bake a ham. We'll work on that for Easter. And people are like, oh, you're vegetarian and you want ham. I'm like, well, I didn't start out being vegetarian. I have been vegetarian for a good 20 years, but you still miss those flavors. And so if I can make something that I can deal with and it tastes like a meat product, then I say go for it. This is much better, much healthier for you than prepackaged stuff, and it is also a lot cheaper. You spend a couple of bucks for 5 pounds of flour, and you get 2-3 pounds of meat out of that. And then all you need is your flavorings and your vital wheat gluten, which is not a lot of money really. That starting to look like a steak, don't it? It smells good. We like the Italian beef quite a bit. So we're just gonna brown this. And then you're going to let it set for another hour. So we will come back and we'll show you what the next step is. Alright, it's been an hour and some of the oil has been absorbed. I'm going to make my simmering sauce. This is the last part of it. Okay, so I've got about a scoop and a half of vegetable broth, beef broth. I'm going to add a splash of Bragg's amino because I'm not adding any more sodium to it. There's enough sodium in it. This is what I call the simmering sauce. How much? You know, a couple of teaspoons. This is a star. This is what's really going to make it. This is a balsamic vinegar because I don't use wine. You have wine, would like to use it, go ahead. How much you need? I'd say a good 1/4 of a cup. Alright, so we're getting this to come to temperature. We're going to put this right in here. It's got, yeah, that's right. You can tell by the smell. You want to smell it all, but you want to smell this. This is going to turn our beef, Italian beef, a little dark. Still oil in here. That's perfectly okay. You add this, and you want to come to a boil, and then we're going to simmer 20 minutes on each side. So we're just going to wait for that to come to a boil, and then we'll turn it down, we'll simmer. And this will get through, the simmer sauce will get through on each side, should be all the way through. You will notice when you cut it, there's marbling just like you would have with any kind of beef. And that's kind of a cool aspect because not all of it gets the same coloring as the rest of it does. And that's a cool thing. And it's okay. So if you flip it, you got it this brown color, you know, and because you're forming a crust is what you're doing. And then you say, oh, it's raw on the inside. That's why you simmer this for 20 minutes. $20 on each side. Haven't used this for this particular application, but it looks good. We will come back with the finished product. We're getting ready to flip this over. It's been simmering on one side for 20 minutes. So now it's time to flip it over. See how much sturdier it is? I mean, see, it's all one mass now. You don't have to worry about it jiggling over. See how, look how nice and dark that is. If that don't look like a piece of steak or a roast, I don't know what does. So now we need to let this simmer for 20 minutes and we'll be back with the finished product. Our Italian beef is now ready to come out of the liquid. We're going to turn it off. Take off the lid. Woo! She's steaming. Alright, now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to take it out of the liquid. We're going to take it out the liquid. We're going to wrap that up tight. There's your finished product. You're going to wrap this up tight and you're going to put it in the refrigerator and let it set overnight. And then you can slice it any way you want to. This liquid, however, you're going to save this liquid. This is a great sauce for base for soup or like a noodle dish or rice or stir fry. This is awesome for that base. You got all those flavors going on. Alrighty. We're going to get ready to form our hamburger, our patties, and we're going to do the same thing as we did with the beef, except we're going to use a red wine vinegar. That's for later. First, we need to form our shift things around here a little bit. All right, now this is what our before we put this is what our burger mix looks like, and it's got the caramelized onion burger taste to it. I'm going to add about, let's start off with 2 and see how that goes. I'm generous with my 2 there. And you're going to want to do the same thing as we did before.
Now, what was that you just added?
This is vital wheat gluten. It's what makes it have it's what gives you the protein in the dish. Can you do it without? Yes, you can, but you just don't have the protein benefits like a lot of people who eat vegetarian things are looking for. All right, now we have to fry these up. And unlike the loaf, I'm going to separate these out into different patties. So when you're in, you want a quick meal, then you just put this on your hamburger bun and you're good to go. I'm hoping it tastes, like a beef patty is what we're aiming for anyway. Okay. Believe it or not, this is going to look like the same look as the Italian beef there. I know that's amazing. Let me get some oil in my pan. Gotta get the dough off my fingers for a minute. That's one thing about it. You will get dough on your fingers. And that's okay. That's a good thing. Therapeutic. Alright, let's get us some oil and get hot.
And you're just gonna keep that in there because those bits will be.
Right. I keep I don't wipe it out. If I'm doing like beef to beef like I'm doing today, I leave all that good flavor in there, in your pan. If I was doing chicken, I might wipe it out. But this is good bits to leave in. And now we're just going to make sure that it's not too wet. This is something I've not done before. So
I thought you had brags and stuff today.
Nope, that's in the simmering sauce. No brags in this yet. Okay, so that seems to be a little late yet. Still a little wet. So technically this is a bread product, but it does have so much protein in it that's not a bad thing, and it tastes like meat. Does it have to be perfectly round? Nope. It doesn't. And we're going to do the same thing as we did before. We're going to get these in the pan, and we're going to go ahead and fry them on one side, and then we'll simmer them for 20 minutes, just like we did before. Except we're now making patties. Like I said, this is something new for me because normally we just slice it, but I thought, this might, especially with, spring is now in the air and summer's coming up, that we might want to go ahead and do something that is already ready to go instead of slicing it. That, and I know when I'm at market, this is going to be easier to tote. Just put it on the bread, be ready to go. You don't have to put this on bread. You can quite easily just take it and make maybe a lettuce wrap out of it. That would be awesome. With any of it. Kind of pat it out. Just stick it in there. Like I said, you could wait until tomorrow to fry this off. I'm off today, so I like to get all my bacon and all my meat and stuff made, so we don't worry about it through the week. And we use this a huge amount of different ways. Sneak one more in there. Pan might be too small. Oh no. Didn't think about that. But that's okay. Like I said, I can fry these and I can fry the others and, you know, be all happy about it. Might be able to do one more in there. Oh yeah, that's good. So you can move them around. This is a really good electric fry pan. It's a non-stick, which is always nice. Nice and big. Might be able to sneak this in. We'll see. You would think that it'd be about the same. It wouldn't make too much of a difference. I do know these are taking a little bit more of the vital gluten, and that's okay. These are like, I guess you could technically roll this out and cut circles. You could do that if you want. If you would want to make sure it's completely round. This is almost like you know, tenderloin like. Oh, that's gonna be too big. It's a whole thing with me. I always make things a little bit bigger than they need to be. Just kind of pat it out. Okay. Have to fry the others tomorrow. Those smell pretty good too. Okay. And I could probably fry these up and then we'll, well, no, we can't. Well, that's okay. I have a little bit left over. I might be able to sneak one more in there. Let's see if I can't sneak just one more in there. Because nothing says you can't go ahead and put this in your refrigerator. Or even your freezer. The raw dough should be fine in the freezer. Then pull it out when you're wanting to make more. Let's see. Alright, Charlie, get over there. There we go. Make a little room. Make a little more room. I can see making like meatballs. You know, that would be cool. Sausages. You could probably do all that with this recipe. I have a little bit left. We'll go ahead and we'll put it in the refrigerator. I'll go ahead and fry it up tomorrow morning. Yeah, this will probably make 10 patties, which is not bad. Not bad. We're going to simmer this just like we did the other one. We're going to simmer it in a simmering sauce. Like I said, see, it takes a little time, but honestly, I mean, this is a whole week's worth of meat for very little money. And we want to flip these. There. Pretty. You want to get them. You want to get a crust on these. Is what you want to do. And you can make different flavors of these. You could go ahead and make like a chicken or a turkey patty if you wanted. Oh, that one could have waited. Huh?
Pork patty.
Pork. You know, I'm trying to get around to making some bacon or some ham. This is just to get the crust on them. They smell good. Or you can even make like individual pieces of fish. And these freeze. So you can like wrap them individually in some saran wrap, stick them in a freezer bag, and when you are wanting something, you can pull these out. That's the beauty of individual like this, is that, you know, if I want beef and he wants chicken, that's not a problem. We'll just take them out, put them in the pan, fry them up. But you want to try and get a nice crust on them. There we go. There we go. That's what you're trying to do, is get a nice crust on them. Because, you know, you want it to kind of be like meat. Texture-wise, it's going to be really nice. Get over there, son.
These have a lot of protein in them.
A lot of protein in them. Probably at least 20 grams per piece. Easy. Because I put a lot more.
Which is equivalent to meat.
Which is equivalent to meat, yeah. Well, if you're going to slip around like that, nope, not ready yet. Kind of rushing. Take your time. Like I said, this will be our meat for the whole week plus. Usually we have a little left over, but it goes in the freezer. I'm hoping to get enough made up for the summer, where we're not eating what I make, we're eating what we're out of the freezer, because we're really, really busy in the summertime. You know, and this makes a really, really quick meal. You can make, you know, the little chicken tenders. You know, I'm thinking for kids, it's real easy to make them, throw them in the, then you know what you have, because you made them. I know a lot of people are trying to find different things for a meatless Monday. You know, they're trying to do 1 or 2 meals that are meatless. This would be a really good way of doing it, and not doing the processed stuff. We all do the processed stuff, don't get me wrong, because I do too. But we can't do it as often as other people could, probably, because, well, we are sodium restricted. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to miss the sodium in these. You're not going to miss it. That doesn't smell good. I'm trying. This is a new flavoring for me. It's a new herb blend that I saw. But we'll go right ahead. Does it look like a beef patty? Well, you know, maybe not. But you know, it sure smells like one, and it'll smell even better once we get it to do the simmering sauce. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and let these cook a little bit, and then we'll come and get you when they're ready to go. So we put about 1.5 2 scoops of the vegetarian no beef broth. Gives things a beefy taste without actually having any meat in it. So we make a broth. Okay, then we kind of whisk it to dissolve it. It doesn't have to be completely dissolved. It's not a big deal if it's not. It doesn't have to be completely smooth. Okay, to this I'm going to add a little bit of Bragg's. A teaspoon and a half of the Bragg's amino acids. Get that, it's like a soy sauce, except it doesn't have any sodium. This time I'm going to add some red wine vinegar. You know, you can get lots of different vinegars at your local stores now. You know, going to add probably a good couple of teaspoons to a tablespoon, just depending on how you do have to play with it a little bit. You know, what you like and what you don't like. All right. Yeah, you can get red wine, white wine, rice vinegar, malt, which is good for fish. Yeah, I found 5 or 6 different kinds of vinegars at our local store. So you're not stuck with just one kind of. That smells about right. Smells beefy, a little winey, you know, because you are supposed to put wine in. I'm going to add just a tad, just a little more. So yeah, probably a good tablespoon. Maybe a little more. I like that tang. There we go. Balsamic has a really heavy tang. Okay, as you can see, most of our liquid that we fried in is been absorbed, which is what you want. And they've now got a pretty good sear on them. Not bad, not bad. So, we're going to pour this liquid over like we did last time. There we go. And this is going to soak up a lot of this nice broth. This is the simmering broth. Like I said, this is something I do once a week. Because we eat about two batches a week between me and the husband and our little dogs, which they love it too. So we're going to go ahead and let this simmer for 40 minutes, 20 minutes on each side. And we'll be back whenever it's ready to go. We've had this on for 20 minutes on one side. Now we're going to turn them over. And look how pretty that color is. Smells great. I'm going to turn them over so they'll soak up some more of this lovely simmering sauce we have going on. And we're going to cook these for another 20 minutes. Simmer them. Dokes. And see, they're almost like a tenderloin. Look at that. Okay, we'll be back whenever we're ready to present the finished product. We are just got done with our patties. We've cooked them both. We simmered them on both sides for 20 minutes. And there is the finished product. Kind of get dark on one side, but that's okay. We will wrap these up just like the other, and let it set in the refrigerator for overnight, and then they'll be ready to go ahead and reheat. You can tell it went from dough to a meat-like substance. I mean, those look like little steaks or tenderloin. It was a big thing whenever I was growing up, was tenderloin. It's got a meat-like quality to it. And like we did with the other, don't throw this simmering sauce out. Look at that, isn't that pretty? Look how nice that can turn out. Don't throw this out. This makes, you can put this in your, anything that calls for any kind of soy sauce. You can use this for bases for your soups, stir fry. You could even thicken this with a little cornstarch and make it a gravy, in case you want to dip your patties in a gravy. But don't throw that away. It's got lots and lots of flavor. Well, that is it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the show about a different kind of seitan, which is the washed seitan. And I hope I went slow enough that you can follow along next time. For No Face Meals, this is your host, Marjorie Haynes.